Hello and welcome. So I'm going to be doing something a bit different today. With the announcement of Mortal Kombat 1, I thought it'd be quite fun, I guess, to rank every Mortal Kombat character. The ranking that we're doing is like my favourite characters. It's not who I want in the next game, although I'm sure I'll have something to say about that. It's purely out of all these 70 plus characters, who are my favourites, who do I absolutely despise, and who's kind of middling. Now, I'm a pretty old school Mortal Kombat fan in the sense that my character choices aren't going to be a surprise to anyone that's played any of the original games. I've played probably every game. There might be like a Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat 2 or something that I haven't played, but I've essentially played every Mortal Kombat game with their own unique handheld versions as well. So when I say that, I mean like Mortal Kombat Unchained on the PSP, the PS Vita version of Mortal Kombat 2011 because that had some unique content, and the Switch version of MK11, which isn't its own unique version, but it certainly looked a bit more unique. So there's only like maybe one or two handheld Mortal Kombat games that I haven't played. So the reason I'm mentioning that is because when we start going through these characters, it's probably going to be very unsurprising who I rank high. I'm very, very biased towards the ninja characters, as I'm sure most Mortal Kombat fans are. I have quite a strong dislike for a lot of the 3D era characters, but we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. So, to explain the ranking, now you've got your S tier, you've got your F tier, and you've got your middle tier. These two, pretty good characters. Top one is my absolute favourite characters. These are the characters when I was a kid, I would draw them, I'd have toys of them, I'd pretend I was them, and even now basically as a 30-year-old man, I still absolutely love these characters. I get excited when I see them, I look at their character models in the game. I just think how cool they are. With the Toasty tier, these are characters I really like. They are strong characters, they deserve to be in every Mortal Kombat game. I would be upset if these characters didn't come back, but they're not my absolute favourites of the favourites, you know. Friendship tier, these are your middling characters where I'm like, look, I get that why they've come back. I don't love them, I don't hate them, they are just okay. I'm indifferent. If they took up a new slot on the newest Mortal Kombat game, I wouldn't complain, but also I wouldn't be super excited. So the Babality tier, this is where we get into the horrendous characters, the copy-paste characters. These are characters that I do not want to come back, don't like them, and if they took up a slot on a roster, I would be a bit upset, but I wouldn't be angry, I guess. I would be like, okay, I guess it makes sense that they're still there because there's something to do with this character, but I'm not happy with it. I'm sure the meaning of all these will change as we're going through them, as I try and justify putting people where and however, but yeah, that's what we're sticking with so far. The Harakiri tier, your F tier, these are characters that can just fuck right off. I'm not interested in them, I want them deleted out of Mortal Kombat canon, they need to be retconned out of existence, I hate them, and they do not deserve to be in a Mortal Kombat game going forward. This tier, if they come back in like a reference capacity, if they're like sort of like your assist characters in Mortal Kombat 11, I suppose, or background characters like in Mortal Kombat 9 where they're in the back of the pit, that's okay. These characters that are shit can occupy this tier, but they can come back in like a cameo point of view, sort of like how Dagon came back in Mortal Kombat 9. He was a background character and it sort of made no sense, but I was okay with that. Characters in this tier, they can just fuck right off. I don't want them referenced, I'm not interested in them. I think they are shit, and they do not deserve to be in future Mortal Kombat games. Anyway, with that said and done, we've got an interesting lineup. Now, I haven't actually looked at this full list properly. I picked this particular tier list because one, it was pre-made, that's the creator by there if you're interested. I had a quick glance at this before making the video just to see if they had the guest characters, which they do, which is cool, because I do want to rank them. It's going to be a bit hard to rank these characters because I feel like they're cool characters in themselves, but how do they fit into Mortal Kombat? I don't know, we'll sort of struggle ranking them later, and thankfully they're last, so we'll kind of fumble with that once we've done the main cast. Now, we'll start off strong. After Takeda, we've got all of the ninja characters, which that's going to be tricky in and of itself, but yeah, it's going to be very unsurprising what I do with these. So, let's start with Takeda. Takeda goes in the middle tier. We're looking at the friendship for him. He's a relatively interesting character in that obviously he's the son of Kenshi, but then he's trained by Scorpion. Out of the Kombat kids, he's probably one of the better ones, and I'm not somebody who dislikes the Kombat kids. I know there's going to be some hypocrisy in when I talk about the Kombat kids compared to characters who also have some copy-paste moves. I appreciate that these are almost copy-paste characters, but they do enough with their backstory, their personality, and spins on their special moves to make them a bit more unique than characters like, say, fucking Cobra, who's just a shit character. We're not even at Cobra yet, so there's not... Basically, Kombat kids are pretty good characters. I don't love them, don't hate them. Takeda's definitely middling for me. He is alright. I wouldn't mind if he came back. He's got an interesting story. Didn't really love playing as him in NKX, though. Okay, so now we've got the heavy hitters. So we've got Reptile, and to be honest, he's straight flawless victory character. Love Reptile. I need to preface that by saying I love human form Reptile. I know that's not a controversial take, but I know there are people out there who say why. Why is human Reptile so popular? And I think it's just that air of mystery the character has when he is in his human form. And you'd get those brief moments where he would do a special attack and you'd see a lizard face and you'd be like, what the fuck? This guy's a lizard. But then from like Mortal Kombat 4, what was that design? Jesus. Deadly Alliance, that was a horrific design. He was basically just like a dinosaur. Shaolin Monks had a really good design, that was cool. Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat X, I was a bit iffy on the design. But yeah, I do still really love Reptile. Unique character, cool finishing moves, somewhat interesting lore. He's not somebody who is a strong lore character, but he does have his moments, like when he was going after that egg in the in-between of Deadly Alliance and Deception, and the implication in his ending in Deadly Alliance is that when the egg opened, beam shot at him and he essentially was turned into a Naga, I believe. It's been a while since I played those games, but there's some interest in there. He's one of a few of his race that are left. There's a lot that can be done with this character. He's got cool moves. He's green. He looks sick. Bring back human form Reptile, even as just as a costume. So, Cyrex, he is going... Oh, this is hard already. This is only the third character. I'm going to give him a flawless victory. Now, I need to explain because Sector's next and I've got a lot to talk about with him. But Cyrex, I feel, has such a good story. He's a fun, playable character. He has always had quite interesting lore. He's a bit of a conflicted character in that he's not necessarily evil. He's more of a neutral alignment, I would say. He has certainly been on the good side and the bad side. But when it came to the Cyber Initiative, he's not somebody who was super forthcoming with it. You can see there's conflict in his character, which makes him both an interesting character to read up on about lore, but he's also a fun-playing character because he's got the nets, he's got the bombs. So that's why I think he's an S tier, because he's an all-round great character. Whereas Sector, even though I vastly prefer playing as Sector, I really love his moveset, I love his teleports, I love his flamethrowers, homing missiles. He is somewhat more of a bland character because he is just more evil. As somebody who took over the Lin Kuei, he initiated the Cyber Initiative. He just falls a bit flat for me in terms of the story, which is a shame. He's a bit more generic bad guy. There's not really much to him, but his gameplay is solid. He's a fucking sick character to play as. I love teleporting around, especially in MK9 where you can do various teleports, trap him in that, fucking flame him, all good. Oh god, okay, Ermac, S tier. You're probably thinking, how the fuck can you justify Ermac as an S tier character when you've just gone on a rant about how Sector is a bit too bland? I get you, but I don't care. Ermac is just so cool. What I love about Ermac isn't necessarily his lore, because his lore is a bit shit, even though he is also somebody who's fluctuated between being good and evil. I'm sure he was briefly good during the events of Deception, but I don't give a fuck about any of that. Ermac's cool to play as. He's got sick moves, and his origin story, not from an in-game perspective, but the fact that he was a glitch that Error Macro made into his own character, and now he's got a massive fan base, with people like myself included. Ermac is fucking awesome. He is S tier. There's not much more to say about that. I love Ermac. Smoke, oh man. Smoke's S tier. He's S tier. I love Smoke. He's so good. I appreciate that a lot of these characters, Reptile, Ermac, Smoke, they're all Scorpion copy-paste from the original game. I get that. I appreciate that when you first saw Smoke in MK2, he was throwing out spears. He was basically Scorpion Grey. I don't care. He's awesome. They made him a very interesting character in Mortal Kombat 9. I always feel he's got a bit shafted with the games. He's a highly requested character that we never see. Like, we've had Rain come back in 2 DLCs, but never seen Smoke. Smoke was paired with Noob Saibot in Deception, so he was made a little bit less unique there. He's always fluctuated between being Cyber Smoke and just Smoke. And Cyber Smoke is just a rip-off of Scorpion as well. Even more so, actually. But I just can't get over how interesting and unique this character is. He has decent lore. His interactions with Sub-Zero are quite interesting. Him being part of the Linkway is interesting. He's cool, man. He's a cool character. Like, why don't they give him more love? Smoke is top tier. I love Smoke. Look, Sub-Zero, S. Scorpion, S. Ooh, S. Love these characters. Are they overdone? Sure, they're overdone, but they are the poster boys of this franchise. You can't sell your Mortal Kombat game without having Sub-Zero and Scorpion in them. They're the two most unique and interesting characters. I get the Scorpion's backstory is so overplayed now, I get it. He's like Spider-Man, we don't need to see his origin story again. The fact is, his origin story is interesting enough that it's carried a lot of the media that he's been a part of. It's that rivalry between the two that sold the franchise, and even though they're not really rivals now, sitting down for cups of tea in Mortal Kombat X, these are two of the strongest characters this game will ever have. They're so well fleshed out, they're interesting, they are morally diverse, they have different backgrounds, different like viewpoints, morals, whatever you want to say. These characters are interesting, and they look sick, and they have unique moves. I don't think you can argue with them putting S tier. I can imagine somebody's personal preference could be like, well, Scorpion's overplayed, he could go low tier, maybe sit a game out. No. He's an S tier. Right. Cyber Sub-Zero. Not interested. Not interested in Cyber Sub-Zero. Cyber Sub-Zero even. He was fun for a one-time thing in Mortal Kombat 9. I feel he's not even like a proper character in a sense that his name is Cyber Sub-Zero. He should just be called Sub-Zero, because like Cyrax and Sector, their code names are that. They're not Cyber Sector, Cyber Cyrax. He is just Sub-Zero. So even though he was different enough from Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat 9, he had some unique moves, he was still a bit of a copy-paste character. It was just an interesting twist on the lore that they thought would be cool for MK9, that they ultimately just dropped in MKX, which I get, because it's just not that interesting, to be honest. These characters, Cyrax and Sector, have been built up as cyber characters. That is initially what they were introduced into the game as. Cyber Sub-Zero is just like, yeah, let's make Sub-Zero cyber, I guess. So I'm not that fussed on him. He was a fun playing character once. I won't mind references to him again. Triborg's secret variation where you could play as him was fine. That's about the capacity I want to see this character return. Otherwise, I'm good. No more thanks. Chameleon, he's very mid to me. I'm sure he could be made to be unique. I'm sure he could be made to have a decent backstory. But I don't really like characters that are copy-paste and they take other characters' moves. I feel that's just so unoriginal, uninspired, whatever word you want to slap on it. It's a bit boring. And this design here, he just kind of looks like Smoke, to be honest. I guess his skin is meant to be sort of like translucent, I guess. Almost like a chameleon, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know if they've got translucent skin, but he is a very mid character to me. Even though I love all the ninjas, he's one of those ninjas that I don't feel fits into that original roster, much like Tremor and much like Female Chameleon as well. But yeah, don't really care. If he comes back, juice him up, make him cool. But if he doesn't, I don't give a fuck. Noob Saibot. I used to think Noob Saibot was so awesome. In Mortal Kombat Trilogy, he was so OP. Him and Rain, to be fair, but oh man, I feel like the handling of Noob Saibot is just... he's just fallen off a cliff, really. Mortal Kombat 11, I was so excited to see him return. He's such a... I don't want to say unique character, because he's not really. He's just Black Ninja, with the names of the creators backwards, which is funny. But he's got that interesting twist in that he's obviously the original Sub-Zero turned evil after he died. Which, yeah, that's cool, interesting, completely different character now. You can see how the effects of the Netherrealm really corrupt somebody. But I just can't, he's not S tier to me anymore. I almost want to put him in the mid tier, but I want to give him a chance because I did like his MK9 look. He had a cool design. I feel MK11, he's too edgy, he's too much like just a Wraith, which is exactly what he is. But he's got that weird hood on, he looks like a gimp, he looks like a zealot from Warhammer. He just looks a bit too edgy for me. I feel they need to just bring him back a bit, just give a dark twist on Sub-Zero, without copying too much of the aesthetic of Sub-Zero. Obviously that's a really hard thing to put forward in a design, and I'm sure that's what they did try and do, but I don't know, his gameplay's a bit... it just feels like they never make him that interesting to play as. He's got some cool special moves. He's got the clone, which was a great addition in Mortal Kombat 9. And I really feel that was cool for his special moves, but the combos he would have are always really limited. So yeah, he just slips out of that S tier for me. If you asked me back in the MK Trilogy days when I was like 12 or however old I was, all the ninjas would be top S ranking. But now we're in this new era. All the ninjas have been given more personality and more diversity. I feel Noob Saibot is too generic to really sit in that S tier. Triborg. That is Triborg, isn't it? It's not Cyber Smoke. I haven't looked at this list, so some of these character portraits are a little funky to me. Like, I don't know where Li Mei is. Is that Li Mei? Must be. She's nowhere else. Yeah, okay. Whatever. I'm going to assume this is Triborg and not Cyber Smoke. Triborg, look, he was cool. He was really good character in MKX. Excellent combos. You could essentially play as all 4 Cyber Ninjas in one character. He was really awesome. But the thing with this character is, much like Cyber Sub-Zero, he doesn't really feel like a character. Whenever I'd pick Triborg, I wouldn't be like, I'm playing as Triborg. I'd go, ooh, do I want to play as Cyrax? Do I want to play as Sector, Cyber Smoke? He's just not a strong character in and of himself. If they ever bring a cyber character back, it needs to be a dedicated cyber character, unless the variation system makes a return from MKX. Then Triborg could potentially get a pass, but really, I don't want to see him come back. I don't want a roster slot to be wasted on this character that's a copy-paste of 4 characters. I want strong single characters to come back. He was good though in MKX. I do not want to deny how fun he was as a character. And I was happy that the Cyber Ninjas could go back in some capacity. But it's like a Noob Smoke from Deception. I feel it's a bit cheap to bundle a bunch of characters into one slot. So, yeah. Rain. Man. I love Rain. I want to put him in S tier. You know what? Fuck it. It's my list. I'm feeling strong about S tier. I was thinking, look, he's toasty tier. Rain, man. But would I be upset if he didn't come back? He's been in MK9 as DLC, MK11. I imagine he's not going to be in Mortal Kombat 1. And I don't think I'd be upset about that. But I love his character. I think he's just so unique and cool. He's essentially a joke character. We all know why he's called Rain, why he's purple, because it's Prince. Ed Boon loves Prince. Character. That's all you need to make a character that is so awesome. And nowadays in the newer games, he has a more fleshed out backstory. He still retains that ninja-like feel, and like maybe Reptile, and like even maybe Noob Saibot. but he's got that twist on it without being, I don't want to say like, he's not culturally appropriated in a way, because he does have, might be a bit ignorant when I say he's got maybe like a Middle Eastern flair to him. Almost, he reminds me like Prince of Persia, you know. He's got that essence to the character without kind of diluting what made his character unique in the first place. He's a bit cocky, and I don't really enjoy cocky characters too much, as we'll talk about a little bit later with some characters, but he's still really strong to me. I absolutely love how he plays. He's got water attacks, which are like, they're really cool and stupid at the same time, which is genius. So I'm going to say about Rain, I feel like I'm justifying way too hard for my own list to put him in an S tier. He's S tier, let's move on. Tremor, don't care about Tremor. Again, he was fun in MKX. He was a fun character to give a go because he's basically an unknown, only appearing in Mortal Kombat Special Forces. He is he's not an original ninja, sorry, but he is a palette swap ninja to Brown, but he was never in a main game until MKX. They made him interesting, they gave him a unique design. I appreciated what they did with him, but I just don't want to see him again. He's at his fun, you know. We've seen him. He's not really that fleshed out. Out in the grand scheme of the story, I don't feel he adds much. He was like a wink character in the DLC, like, oh, we made Tremor cool now. And that's really all he is. He's quite superficial in that way. So, we're sticking him there. Would I be mad if he's referenced? No. Would I be mad if he was an assist character? No. Would I be mad if he took up another slot on the roster? Yeah, probably. It's like, when you look at the story, what does Tremor add? That's sort of how I'm viewing this, because I'm sure most people who have been with the franchise for so many years are quite invested in the story, no matter how stupid it is. Tremor to me just does not add anything to that story. But he did have some cool moves in MKX, so I don't want to outright delete him. I don't want to remove him from the history of Mortal Kombat, even though his origin is from a really, really shit game. I just don't want to see him taking up base roster, you know. Not even DLC, sorry, I just don't want him on a roster anymore. Striker, I'm going to put him in the middle. He is a shit character. He is not interesting. He is purely in the middle because it's like a meme. He is just a guy, he's just a cop. What more can you say to that? He is just a cop. His story really isn't that interesting. He just shoots people. And I know a lot of characters in Mortal Kombat 11 were just shooting people, but this guy was the original, I'm just gonna shoot you guy. I feel nowadays it would be a bit questionable to include a police character into a Mortal Kombat game, so I really do not expect Striker to come back. I'm not going to be mad that he doesn't come back, but if he does, I think it'd be quite interesting. It would be like, and I know you're probably thinking, wow, how the fuck can you say bring back Striker but not Tremor? Striker has been a staple of the Mortal Kombat series since Mortal Kombat 3. He is an OG character. He's had time to develop, but he's just never been given that room. Tremor has now been given that limelight to develop, and he has been made a somewhat cool character in the sense that he has good gameplay. Striker has nothing. He was pretty good in Mortal Kombat 9. I wouldn't say he was like a high tier character, but I had quite a lot of success playing as him. But I always feel he's been a bit mishandled. His Armageddon appearance was just horrendous. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that costume. But yeah, Striker, he's mid, whatever. We're moving on to the juicy characters now. Whew, okay, this is where things are going to get controversial. Movado, don't give a fuck about this character. I see a lot of people on the internet asking for him to come back. I do not really get that. He is so bland to me. Deadly Alliance, Deception, they introduced some of the worst characters this series has ever seen, as we'll get onto them. Even Mortal Kombat 4 had... Actually, let's rephrase that. 4, Deadly Alliance, Deception, as some of the worst characters in existence. That's not to say X or 11 also didn't bring in some really shit characters, but these ones that they did introduce in the 3D era are just so forgettable. They're so bland. Their special moves are just a rip-off of other characters. Movado, when I played as him on Deadly Alliance, I was like, why? Why did they make this character? Why isn't it just Cabal? because he used the hook swords of Cabal. I believe I might be misremembering this, I believe in the story of Deadly Alliance he stole them from Cabal and may have even killed Cabal. I'm like, why? Why would you do Cabal Sack dirty like that? He is a strong character, and to be replaced with this fucking generic piece of shit, why? Oh, he's got some rope so he can rope around the map like he's fucking Spider-Man. That's shit, mate. He's a fucking shit character. I'm not interested in playing as this guy. I really, really hope he doesn't come back in some capacity other than as a bit of a wink wink nudge nudge kind of assist maybe. I don't want him to be completely eradicated from the series. I just don't want to play as him. Darius, right. Darius is also pretty bottom tier. He is just a boring character. Like, the amount of just forgettable boring characters that Deception shat out is unbelievable, to be honest. Darius is a freedom fighter from what I remember in the Order Realm. He is really shit to play as. His special moves are just like, he fires out like colourful shapes, which can be summed up by a lot of the newer characters that are introduced in the 3D realm. He is just so uninteresting. He's so uninteresting, I have no more to say, so I'm just going to move on. Jarek. I think that is Jarek. He looks a bit different. I am thinking that's his Armageddon outfit. Is that Jarek? I'm sure that's Jarek. Fuck him off, though. Nobody gives a fuck about Jarek. Our first F tier character, fuck Jarek. The only reason people give a fuck about him is because of his ending in Mortal Kombat 4 where he does the scream. Is that him? He pulls off. He gets thrown off a cliff. Yeah, I think that's right. Do not care. Get rid of this character. He is shit. Fujin, he is pretty middling to me. I don't really love playing as Elder Gods because I just feel they don't really fit into what Mortal Kombat is. I mean, the clue's in the name. It's called Mortal Kombat, even though all these fucking characters have come back a million times from death. Fujin is at least quite a unique character. He's windy. He's got ties to some of the older games from the Mortal Kombat Mythologies games, Sub-Zero Mythologies. So he's got an interesting present. He at least has a sprite from the 2D era. And he has been done justice in the newer games, I must admit. He was done a bit dirty in the 3D games. He was barely even mentioned, only coming back in Armageddon as everyone else was. But they've made him quite interesting. Wouldn't be mad if I see him again. Wouldn't care if he doesn't come out. He's not my favourite character. Right. Otaro. I've seen people request this guy back. Why? He's fucking shit, mate. He is a shit character. He is so uninteresting to play as. He's got 2 special moves. One of them barely ever fucking works. He's just a leader of some fascist realm. Who gives a fuck about this character? I appreciate people out there like, give him a chance, they could make him cool. It's like, I don't want to give these characters that were really shit at the time a roster slot when you can have characters like Smoke, who we haven't seen in a long time. We could have characters like I mean, Kenshi's been in quite a lot of the games. We could have characters like, maybe even like Natara, even though I don't particularly like her. There's a reason they always go for the original trilogy characters with a few 3D characters sprinkled in. It's because they are the most fleshed out, they're the most interesting, they have the most diverse moves, even though that wasn't true for characters like Smoke and Noob. But they just have that edge to them that some of these newer characters just don't. Like Hotaro is like, oh, who wants to play as a guy who is leader of the Order Realm or general of the Order Realm, who's so rigid and uninteresting? He's got shit special moves. His design is incredibly plain. Like, he looks like a beetle, which I think it was intentional. That's all I have to say about Hotaro. Like, I don't want to go on about it. This character has nothing to offer to me. He is so uninspiring, uninteresting. Fuck Hotaro. Right, Rico. I don't like Rico. A lot of people give him props, but I'm like, he's pretty whatever. Like, I just don't care about him. He has a bit of story importance because he's Shao Kahn's general. But who gives a fuck? I'm just not interested in this character. He is just not someone I go, fuck yeah, I want to play as Rico, man. I want to play as the guy who's under Shao Kahn. And you can say that about a lot of characters, like Ermac, he's just a Shang Tsung creation. Melina is a Shao Kahn creation. Reptile, he's just a bitch to Shao Kahn. I get it, but they have the edge to them that they're in. Look at these designs. Like, look at Ermac there. That is such a sick design. Reptile, you're playing as a lizard man. What? Rico, he's man with paint on face and abs out. The amount of characters that are just man with abs out, glowy eyes. Like, come on, there's so much choice already. Why do you want to play as this fucking character? Anyway. Oh god, it's getting worse. Bo Rai Cho is the shittest character this franchise has ever seen. That's probably hyperbole, to be honest, because there are some characters I probably dislike more than Bo Rai Cho. And Bo Rai Cho has been given an opportunity to really shine in MKX and the overall story of those games as well, but really, he's a bad joke. Why is this character in the fucking game? He's one of those characters that you play as to just be as cringy and jokey as possible. He is fucking terrible. He doesn't shit everywhere. He pukes everywhere, which is equally just like, why would you want to play like a character like that? He farts in the original game and he just wobbles around because obviously he's portraying a drunken master fighting style, which of course is a real thing. But the fact they're applying this drunken master character, this fighting stance to this, basically just a fat joke. He's a fat joke. I don't mean that he's a fat joke. He is fat and it is a joke. This character is terrible. The utter importance that they put on this fucking character from the 3D games, the fact that he is the one who is training the White Lotus. Why? It's like they went, oh fuck, we made a shit character in Deadly Alliance, let's try and backtrack and make him more important to the story so people don't think he's an utter fucking pathetic joke. I just don't understand why people want to play as a character that's a joke. I sort of get it, you know. People go, haha, it's funny, I did a fart on you. I'm just like, that's just so fucking lame and childish. He is a childish character in a story that I think is not something that I would say is mature. It's mature context in that it's a very gory game, obviously. But like, the story takes itself seriously. It's like a superhero story, you know. You do have those characters that are jokey and are more aimed at kids. But when you've got something that's like, let's use a generic example like Batman, more modern Batman, where it's like, obviously there is subject matter that is stupid and goofy and they deal with like resurrections, time travel. The characters all portray everything straight face. But then you've got something like Bo Rai Cho who just comes in and fucking ruins it with his shitty special moves, his shitty importance to the story. He's a fucking shit character. Why? I'm getting really annoyed about this, and I don't know why. Basically, I don't like him, and it's okay if you do. Let's move on, because I'm getting vexed. Ed? I was going to call him Ed Boom. Aaron Black. Aaron Black's his name. I forgot his name for a second. I've sort of been put off by him, to be honest. He's lost his charm. He was in both MKX, MK11, and I was like, wow, really cool idea. It's a simple idea, he's a cowboy. But I've always found his execution to be a bit lame, to be honest. He was quite unique in that he had guns, but then a lot of the characters in the new games use guns, so that already takes away some of his unique abilities, because like, he's good at shooting. Well, like, so's Jax, so's Cassie Cage, so's Spawn. He's got a cool design. He's a cowboy, sort of looks like a ninja. I always just found like his moves weren't that fun. I know people have played him at a high tier, of course, but I just never had that much fun playing as him. I almost want to put him in a middle tier, because I wouldn't mind seeing him come back and maybe improve slightly, but I feel they have had 2 opportunities to do that with MKX and 11, and both times he's been very subpar. And I feel they've kind of blown his chance to become a really unique and interesting character. He looks cool, granted. His story importance, weak. His gameplay, personally I find that a bit weak. No thanks. Cabal. I fucking love Cabal, man. Cabal is so sick. He is an awesome character. I don't think his story is amazing or anything, but at least it's there. He's scarred. He was part of the Black Dragon. It was the Black Dragon, wasn't it? I can't quite remember now. He is cool, man. He looks sick. I love how he's portrayed in these newer games, whereas in obviously in the 2D and somewhat the 3D era, it didn't really have him be this. I know I was complaining about cocky characters earlier, but he really fits that bill because he's so fucked up. Like, obviously in MK11 he does so many costumes where he looks normal, but the idea is he's meant to be so fucked up. He's on life support, yet he's still a cocky fuck. His portrayal in the newest Mortal Kombat film, I thought was one of the best portrayals of the character in that film. He was so good. I thought he was better than Kano. Shame he was just killed off, because to be honest, he's one of those characters that isn't ever going to be that important to the story. But he looks sick. I love his moves. I love the hook swords. I hate that Mavado was just not a copy paste of him, but it almost felt like they were trying to replace Cabal with this fucking piece of shit. Cabal, man, he is sick. I don't want to go more on because I could talk about how sick Cabal is. But the thing is, he's sick. He's a cool character. He's obviously evil. He's generic, but he makes up for it in that really unique design that I know is meant to look like a Tusken Raider. But they've taken it. They've taken that and just run with it. He looks so good. Dairu. No. No thanks. No. I just don't want him ever again. He's almost got an interesting story because he is somebody, I believe he was in the Order Realm, his family was killed, so he's always sought revenge. I wonder who else was like that. Why would I want to play as this character with exactly the same backstory as this character when this character exists? It's infinitely way cooler, has cooler special moves. I don't even remember what this guy's special moves were. Were they fire-based? They were probably fire-based. There was that time in the 3D era where if a character didn't have a weird glowy shape come out of their foot, it would be a fire-based attack. He might have had a weird glowy shape thing come out of his foot. I don't remember, but he's just so uninteresting. Why is his hairline so far back? Like, what is the tattoo on his face? Maybe it's some cultural symbol that I'm insulting by saying that, and I really hope it's not, but I just don't find this character has any redeeming qualities. I can't see him, even as in a cameo sense. What's he going to do? Come out and fire a fucking cone out of his foot? Who gives a fuck? Fuck this character, let's move on. Mocap, whatever, he's funny. Let's end it at that. If he comes back as a joke, cool. Su Hao, fuck this character. Probably one of the most hated characters out of all of Mortal Kombat, and almost for fair reason. He at least isn't a complete and utter joke. But like, he's just shit Kano. Like, Kano is like iconic. What were they trying to do? Kano 2.0, except he's got a shit hat and a stupid glowy thing on his chest. Fuck off. Don't care. Get rid of him. Don't reference him. Even, I think it's Aaron Black actually has an intro where he like chucks his head on the floor. Good. Fuck this character, he's dead in every universe. Kenshi, man, I love Kenshi. He's a great character, but he is one of the rare few from the 3D era that really was a strong character. He's really awesome. Like, there's not much to say. He's got a unique backstory. It's not a copy paste of anyone else's. He's got somewhat copy paste moves, which is why I don't put him higher. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, no, I'm not. That was weird. Maybe I will. But anyway, Kenshi, he is a really good character. I can't put him in an S tier though because he does just have copy paste moves of Ermac. I always find it weird that Kenshi always ends up in a game where there's Ermac as well. Like, he was in Mortal Kombat Deception, Ermac was in that game. Mortal Kombat 9 as DLC, Ermac was in that game. Mortal Kombat X, Ermac was in that game. These are two very similar characters, entirely so because I'm pretty sure in the old continuity, Kenshi learned his powers from Ermac. Don't quote me on that because I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that is the case. Granted, they have always made them quite different and unique, which is quite surprising when they both have telekinesis as a power. That's the difference between these two characters and, let's say, Hotaro and Cobra, who I know have fire-based moves. These just feel like they got so... I don't want to say lazy, because you never want to call a game developer lazy. But they were just sitting around, and they were like, fucking hell, what elements do we have? Fire? Yeah, okay, but he's got fire moves. Make him fire it out of his foot, fire it out of his arse, I don't fucking know. But at least with this, they go, these two characters have telekinesis, how do we differentiate them? Well, Ermac is more about picking you up and slamming you, where Kenshi is more about inflicting telekinesis on you. And he uses his sword as well with telekinesis. Interesting concept. That blind swordsman kind of trope is something that you see is played out, but they do it well in this game. Kenshi is good. Cobra, fuck right off. Nobody wants Cobra back. He's a Street Fighter character. He looks like Ken. Like, why was this character ever created? There are so many strong characters that I feel that Mortal Kombat really didn't understand what it had until the newer reboot games. It didn't understand it had these awesome, strong characters. You've got Liu Kang, you've got Kung Lao, Johnny Cage, you've got Katana, you've got Sonya. These characters are so strong, and they really didn't come into their own until the new games. Like, they killed Liu Kang off straight away in Deadly Alliance, and it's like, you've just killed your main character, and now you spend the next 3 games fumbling to create characters and try and fill in slots when you still had strong characters. That's why I really love that Mortal Kombat 1 has recognised that it has these incredible characters that should be at the forefront of the story. Liu Kang being a god that oversees this new realm. Absolute amazing twist. He is... Wait, I'm getting off track. What are we talking about? Cobra, yeah. Fuck Cobra. What does he do? He's nothing. He's just made as a placeholder. Even Liu Kang came back in that game, fucking hell, and they still managed to squeeze this fucking shit in there. Get rid of him. He is not a character that needs to come back. Shijinko. Who is that? That's fucking... What's his name? Colt. Isn't he? He's from the film. Why is he in this list? Whatever, we'll talk about that. Interesting. That's quite funny. Right, okay, anyway, Shijinko. He hovers between these two, to be honest. He needs to... Does he need to be deleted outright? He doesn't really fit in the grand scheme of things anymore. We can get rid of Shijinko. I don't put him... Whereas all these other characters I put in, I've strongly disliked. I have really intense feelings about them. Shijinko, I just feel, is now irrelevant. The problem, and as I've just mentioned, the problem with the 3D era games is that they were trying to make these main characters when they really didn't need them. Shijinko, however, was this surrogate to the player character as you travelled through him, with him through the conquest mode. And he was quite unique in a way that you would learn other characters' abilities. Now, I say unique because it's not unique, but it's a unique way to teach the player how to play the game. If they left him as an avatar during the conquest mode and he didn't take up a roster slot, I think that would perfectly cap off his character. But obviously, they needed to put him as part of the roster slot because he had a character model, and he was the canon way to beat the Onaga, to beat the final boss of Deception. He's a terrible character though, and even though the conquest mode in Deception is incredible, it's amazing fun, it's janky, it looks like dog shit, sure. It was a real unique and interesting way to experience the Mortal Kombat universe and all the realms and all the lore that it had to offer. Shijinko though, right, let's talk about Shijinko specifically and the problems with this character. He is dumb. He spends his whole life getting tricked by Onaga, and by the time he's 60, 70, by the time he's wasted his whole life on an endless fetch quest that basically doomed the realms, he's like 70 odd. He's wasted so much of his life on a pointless quest just to doom the world. What a dumb fuck. He's naive and ignorant. And he's not really ignorant, but he is naive, which you can't really hold that against a character when their whole life they've just wanted to be part of the Mortal Kombat tournament. He's really powerful as well, like too powered. Onaga gives him the ability to absorb other fighters' special abilities, so he's overpowered in his own universe. But he's also really bland and boring. What a surprise. Because he steals other characters' special moves, there is nothing that makes him unique. He has Kung Lao's fighting stances in Deception, he takes everyone's special moves, and he's just playing as an old man. He has that kind of stereotypical, how do I say this, but I'm being a bit careful, he's got an Asian stereotype, let's say. It's not offensive, I wouldn't say, but it's not really my place to say what is and what is an offensive stereotype. But I thought he was unique enough to sit in the roster, but he wasn't a good enough character, and he doesn't have good enough special moves to justify his position on that roster. When you've got more unique and interesting older characters that sort of fit this kind of archetype of that old Asian martial arts master, you've got Shang Tsung with that. So really, this is an irrelevant character. We no longer need him, so let's just move past him. Okay. This character, Colt, I think he's called. Absolute terrible. Oh my god, he's so terrible. Oh, I can't stop saying terrible. Fuck this character so much. I do not even want to dwell on it. He is horrible. He better not ever make it into a Mortal Kombat game. He better never get mentioned. Not only does his character somewhat ruin the already established plot lines of Mortal Kombat, he's just uninteresting. He kills so many characters. Why does it take him and Scorpion to beat Sub-Zero? He essentially ruins the fight between Scorpion and Sub-Zero in that game by his just sheer presence. His connection to Scorpion is just bullshit. Why was this character not Johnny Cage? Why, in a franchise with so many fantastic main characters like Liu Kang, Kung Lao, as we've already mentioned a million fucking times, do they feel the need to introduce this unique character? Fuck this character. Fuck him off. He's gonna be in the sequel of Mortal Kombat 2. Whatever, I'll watch it because I like Mortal Kombat, but I'm probably not gonna like it because this character is just so bad. Okay, let's get back to some good characters. Kano. There's not much to say about Kano. He's unique, he's got good story presence, he's got good chemistry with other characters. Sure, he's a bad guy, but he's a bad guy who's cocky, but he's cocky different to Kabul. He's just like, he is a arrogant cocky Kabul. Kano is like a disgusting cocky. You can't have a Mortal Kombat game without Kano, I feel. He's not S tier because I don't love him. I don't think, damn, Kano is so cool. But he's so like iconic to the Kano franchise, to the Mortal Kombat franchise. If it wasn't for, hang on, I've done some googling prior. If it wasn't for Trevor Goddard's portrayal of Kano in the 1995 film, he wouldn't be the character he is today. Which is to say, a really strong character, even if he is like an Australian stereotype, which is bizarre, but it works so well. Kano needs to be in Mortal Kombat games going forward. He is an OG. He doesn't need any more justification. Kano's great. Let's move on. Nightwolf. I know people are contentious about Nightwolf. I love Nightwolf. Nightwolf is so awesome. People, I get, maybe don't like that he is a stereotype. He is a Native American stereotype. And I feel even NetherRealm with the newer game sort of wanting to move away from putting him in the spotlight, because you don't want to culturally appropriate a character like that. You don't want to just make him a stereotype of Native American culture. And it is a stereotype in fighting games. Obviously you've got characters like you've got Chief Thunder from Killer Instinct, you've got Rock from Soul Edge. Even though I don't think Rock is actually Native American, I just think he considers himself Native American. But let's just say he is for now. You've got T-Hawk Street Fighter, you've got Rick Stroud Fatal Fury, and you've even got like who is it, Michelle Chang from Tekken, who is a mix of like I think Chinese descent and Native American descent, which is a bit of an interesting twist on it. It's a stereotype. It is in so many fighting games. Nightwolf, however, has always been one of those characters I think plays so good. He has that unique look. In the newer Mortal Kombat 11 game, they've really given him a chance to be his own character. In Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it's always stuck in my mind when he's like, find your animality. But he is up there for me. Nightwolf, you're a great guy. I appreciate people who think, nah, Nightwolf does not need to be that high. Yeah, I get that. That's fair. For me, though, really love the character. Johnny Cage. Gotta be in a Mortal Kombat game. I don't love him because, again, he is very arrogant. He's a bit too cocky for me, and he borders on the like being a bit thick, being a bit naive as well. When I don't really feel that. I don't really like want that in a character when I play as them. I want somebody who's seasoned, who's seen lots of fights. I know Johnny Cage has now in the latest point in time on MK11. He is like General of Special Forces. No, he's not. That's Sonya. What the hell am I talking about? He's up there, you know. He's a key part of the Special Forces. Let's move on. Johnny Cage, he doesn't really need much said about him. I'm just going to skip straight to Jax, because again, Jax, for the same reason Johnny Cage is in that list. He's an OG character, man. You can't have Mortal Kombat games without Jax. He is so strong. He is a good character. I love his metal arms. That makes him so unique. He needs to be there. I've skipped Kai because... do I hate Kai enough to put him in this list? Or does he belong here? Probably here. I don't really like Kai at all, but I don't really have strong enough feelings on him to be deleting him outright. Yeah, I do. Fuck it. No, I don't want Kai. Fuck Kai. We've already got strong Shaolin characters already. Why dilute that pool when you've got such strong characters already? But I don't really feel that strongly about him. Quan Chi, man. Quan Chi, I hate this character, but not in the way that I hate these characters. He is such a hateable character in the best possible way. He is pure evil. He does the most fucked up things. He is a good, bad character. The way he is portrayed in Sub-Zero, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero is incredible. And I just feel Quan Chi is that perfect bad villain. He is so hateable, and I love that. Right, we're going to do Kung Jin next. He probably goes in the middle. He's unique for Mortal Kombat, but he is a Green Arrow ripoff. He's got an interesting story. I love how he's conflicted because of his sexuality with the Shaolin. I love how accepting Raiden is of him as well. He's got good merits. I enjoy that aspect about his character. I just found him to be a little bland in terms of the gameplay. I didn't love his design either. I know he's an archer, so obviously what he's wearing makes sense for that. But yeah, we'll leave it there for him. He's a mid character to me. Taven and Dagon. Why do people want these characters back? I don't get it. I really don't get it. These are just shit characters. They were made solely for the purpose of driving the narrative forward in Armageddon. They are solely created to be the avatar for the player for that game only. They do not carry any significant backstory prior to these games. They are not relevant to any of the games after Armageddon. They are just made to be a main character in a futile effort to have a main character when you already have a roster jam-packed with main characters. Spin him off. Like Dagon, I saw him mention earlier how he was quite cool. He was mentioned in the background of Mortal Kombat 9, and that was like, I saw it and I was like, oh, it's Dagon. But it's like, I don't care. If he wasn't in the background, I wouldn't give a fuck. Get rid of this character. Get rid of Taven. I don't get why people want to bring him back. They're just not deep or interesting enough. He's got fire attacks as well. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Taven is a fire-based character. We don't want more fire-based characters. We want unique characters. We don't want more gun characters. We want unique characters with unique personalities. He is so dry as a character, and he's so bland as a villain. Fuck them off. Kung Lao, S tier. Let's talk something positive. I love Kung Lao. Kung Lao, oh my god, he has to be in every game. He is so awesome to play as. He is a cool character. My favourite depiction of Kung Lao, though, has to be the pacifist Kung Lao from Deadly Alliance, because like he gets too cocky in the newer games, especially, well, it's not a newer game, but Shaolin Monks, man, he is a fucking asshole in that game, but he plays so good. This is one of these characters where I don't love that he's cocky, but his gameplay is so unique and fun. His abilities and fatalities are so iconic. He is one of these characters I go, you can't replicate that with another character. He's not just someone with fire-based attacks. He's awesome. Love Kung Lao. Garrus? Nah. I don't even have anything that bad to say about him. I just didn't enjoy playing as him. Didn't feel didn't really feel like he was just the bitch to Chronica. Yeah, whatever. Don't really want to see him come back in any capacity. Liu Kang, I don't class Liu Kang as S tier, but he needs to be in every Mortal Kombat. He is the main character. As much as Scorpion and Sub-Zero are the face of the series, the narrative is driven by Liu Kang. He is the chosen one, essentially, who fights against Shang Tsung Shao Kahn. He is the top tier character that I just don't love too much, because he does fit into that typical hero. Typical hero in that he is just like, you know, he's there to do. What am I trying to say? He's just a hero character, isn't he? He was quite bland in his character throughout all the original games, which could be. The issue is that a lot of these characters, they're expressed through text and their visual design in the 2D games. Because Liu Kang essentially sat as that, like, you know, martial law, Bruce Lee, Kung Fu rip-off character, I almost want to say. It wasn't until, let's say, the films and the Shaolin Monks games, or game, that he really came into his own, but even then he's still just that hero character. It was interesting when they made him a bad guy, cool twist, enjoyed that, loved that for what it was. Over that now, let's get back to him being a hero, which he is. Great. Shinnok, sick of him, never really loved Shinnok as a character, really too, like, Quan Chi is evil, Shinnok is also evil, they're just like, yeah, whatever, they're two sides of the same coin, except Quan Chi's got more charisma. His gameplay in MKX was good, he was strong, he's a bit of a Shang Tsung rip-off, sure, with the fireballs coming out of the ground, but ultimately, he's had his time in the sun now in the newer games. Let's just put him to bed. Raiden. Ooh, I never loved playing as Raiden, but man, he is a strong-ass character. You've got to keep him up there. Shang Tsung, strong-ass character, keep him up there. His portrayal in Mortal Kombat 1995 by, what's his name, Tagawa? Man, good ass character. Yes, please, bring him back. Very good bad guy for the series. Katana, S tier. God, Katana is so strong. I love Katana. There's so little to say about these characters because you know how good they are. They are iconic staples of the series. They are fleshed out. They have unique moves. They cannot be replicated by any other character. Tanya is whatever. She was good in MKX. I mean, she was more than good. She was fucking overpowered as fuck. But yeah, strong enough that they could bring her back for that one game as a one-off. But I don't really want to ever see her again. Melina, bang. Jade, bang. Scarlet, ooh, controversial maybe, but bang. All very, very strong characters. Scarlet specifically at MK11 version, because obviously the MK9 she has no line, she's just Red Ninja. I love the twist they gave to her, I love her story important. She is a bit of a just whatever kind of crony to the bad guy, but man, she is cool, she is unique, I feel she has now earned her iconic status. Nobody's going to look at these games in 20 years and be like, oh yeah, name 5 Mortal Kombat characters Scarlet, but I really, really dig her. Female chameleon, whatever, exactly, I don't really want to repeat myself for that. Frost, she had her chance, you know, she had her chance. Same with Tanya, like, I don't dislike Frost, but like, you know, female Sub-Zero, whatever. They gave her the cyber twist in MK11, but I just didn't enjoy her gameplay. Oh god, look what we've got left. What a mess, what a mess. So Kira, don't care. Li Mei, don't care. Sonya, might be a bit controversial, but I think Sonya's been a bit shit in the past 2 games. Her portrayal by Ronda Rousey really, really ruined her character, unfortunately, and I've never loved her gameplay anyway. Jacqueline, nah, I don't like her character at all. It is a shame. It is a shame to say it because I like the Kombat Kids, but I just feel she is just too unoriginal and uninteresting. Ashra, she's a middling character. I never liked her in Deception, but like looking back at it now, I feel she is unique enough to justify potentially a position on the roster. She's got a bit of a unique twist. She's like a demon hunting other demons to cleanse their soul or some bullshit. But yeah, she's cool, I guess. She's alright. She could do with a revamp, and I think that would be cool. Okay. We are looking at Serene next. I don't know why this is a character. She was in Unchained, she was Emerald back in Armageddon. We don't need her. She was one of the assassins sent after Sub-Zero and Mythologies. Do not give a fuck. Cassie Cage, strong character. Love Cassie Cage. Sure, she's a matchup of Johnny and Sonya. Sure, she's cocky. But she, like, I don't know, she brings like a freshness and like a... almost like a modern spin that I feel like... When I saw her fatality where she took a selfie and like posted it on Facebook, I was like, damn, Mortal Kombat has really come with the times. For a franchise that is 30 years old now, as old as I am, they've really managed to keep it relevant, which is shocking. It's a testament to this game franchise that it's still relevant, it's still unique. It's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, she's great. Sindel, they've really fucked her character up, which is a shame because I did like Sindel. But man, what they've done to her is just, she doesn't need to come back. Nitara, she could be quite cool, I guess. Vampire character. They really did her dirty in the newest Mortal Kombat film. Yeah, whatever. Bring her back, make her cool. If not, I wouldn't give a fuck. This character, I can't remember their name. Citron? It's, what is her fucking name? Citrus? Who gives a fuck? I really did not like this character. Whilst we're at it, chuck her in there. Anyone else? Whilst we're just slamming through these shit tier characters. The thing is, like, I've justified a lot of these characters, but the reason I justified a lot of these 3D characters is that a lot of them I see a call for them to return to the games. These characters, I just don't really see any kind of justification in bringing them back. Serene, people I've seen kind of comment on her. But like these newer characters, I feel like they came into the game and just nobody really cared. She's an Elder God, he's a creation of the Elder Gods. It's just like, I don't want to play as these fucking Elder Gods, man, with their OP powers in this game that's meant to be about a fighting tournament. They just do not appeal to me. Having the one, maybe two Elder God characters at a push, fine. But like MK11, we had Fujin, we had Raiden, we had this character, we had this as the boss, we had this guy. It's just not needed, man. They're just so uninteresting. Anyways, I said I wouldn't justify them because they're too new and people really kind of know the reason why they're there. But I'm going off on one anyway. Shiva is one of these characters that, like, when I saw her in MK9, I was like, yes, Shiva, you're back. Fuck yeah. She was shit in that game, man. She was fucking shit. She's shit in MK11. I've never liked her in any of the original 2D games. She could probably go into this tier, but, you know, I'm done with her. Devora is actually... I like Devora. She is a strong new character, but I feel her importance to the story is overblown. She's been in the latest 2 games. Let's give Devora a break. I don't want her to return, but I don't dislike her, you know. I just feel she's killed off 2 iconic characters, and that wasn't really justified in my opinion. I guess you could say, well, it's against expectations to have this newcomer taking out so many characters, but really, she is just too much, man. So let's just kill her off for the next game. Well, not kill her off, but just not include her. Oh man, we're getting to some shit tier characters now. Fucking Ferritor, fuck off. Collector, fuck off. What is with these weird creature characters that just don't find a place in the roster or the story? They are just there to be beat up. They are so bad, man. I'd put these on the same level as like Suhao, Colt, Cobra, Bo Rai Cho. Like, these are terrible characters, and they're in a new game. What waste of slots they are. Dramin, he's like one of those enemies you'd fight in Conquest mode or Shaolin Monks, you know. He's like, all that makes him interesting is that he wears a mask and he's got a club for a hand. But otherwise he's a stinky zombie. He's much along the same lines as Meat, really. But Meat is at least a joke character, so they both sit there. Like, so whilst I think it'd be interesting to see references to him, I don't think they're good enough characters to justify being playable. Like, Dramin has just made him... Like, what is the difference between these 2 characters, really? They took Meat, right, and they slapped a mask on him, gave him a shoulder pad and a club. They're just zombies. They're just zombie characters. This game has quite a high amount of zombie characters. These 2, you got Liu Kang, who's a zombie. Really fucking weird, mate. Baraka, man, Baraka used to be one of my favourite characters as a kid. He would have been S tier for sure if this was made when I was like 10. But nowadays, whilst I feel he's been given some good character development in Mortal Kombat 11, he's been given good gameplay. He's always a bit low tier. It's surprising he made the cut in Mortal Kombat vs DC. I'm shocked by that. I feel that NetherRealm really do like Baraka. I thought for a long time they hated this character. But he's been in quite a lot of games. He is unique. He's got the blades in his arms, which is, again, it's a unique, iconic thing about him. And he's been in, like, when he came back in Deception, I fucking loved him in Deception. He was such a cool character. But even now, he is the best he's ever been. I just found myself, I think I've sort of grown out of him as a character, because he's like just a monster. He just eats people. He looks like a bad heavy metal album cover, and his combos aren't particularly great either. So I think, yeah, I've just moved past him. Havoc, you know, I don't really like Havoc, but he's got that uniqueness to him. He feels like a zombie character though, but at least he's got more to him than these two. But I say that because if you play Deception, you know, he pulls his head off, breaks his back, he does all sorts of crazy contortionist shit. He could be an interesting character to bring back. So I'll put him there. He's not my favourite. I definitely didn't really like playing as him. He did have a cool alternative costume in Deception. But ultimately, nah, you can stay there, it's fine. Kotal Khan, he's like Aaron Black. He's one of these characters I was like, wow, he looks sick, mate. He's going to be a strong new character. Wasted. Motaro, he can stay, but I don't want to play as him. Goro, he's had his chance, and Kintaro, I sort of see these as the same. I do sort of prefer Kintaro because he's like tigery, where Goro is more dragony. If they come back, actually Goro, he's had his chance, you know. He had a position in MKX. I just want to see some Kintaro love. Moloch, oh fuck Moloch, like who cares? Blaze, yeah. Onaga, yeah. I know a lot of people want to see Onaga come back, but you've got characters like Shao Kahn, right, who is evil, but he has a goal. He has relationships with characters. He is connected to Kitana, Mileena, to Shang Tsung, to Liu Kang, to Kung Lao, to Raiden. He is connected to so many characters, and even though he's one note on himself, he carries a lot of weight with his interactions to other characters. Onaga, he just rocks up when Raiden, when Raiden, Shang Tsung and Quan Chi are fighting in the intro to Deception. He just rocks up and he's like, yeah, whatever, I'm overpowered, everyone fucking bow down to me. His most interesting interactions are that with Shijinko, where he's speaking as, I can't remember what he's called now, the Orange Ball. I want to say Dimitri, but it's not Dimitri. Don't know, but that's the strongest character development he has. And then when he turns back into a Naga, he's just like, I'm Big Dragon now. So that's my ranking of the main Mortal Kombat characters. So let's just reiterate who's strongest. Ninja, Kabal, Nightwolf, Kung Lao, Kitana. Yep, S tier characters. Then, yeah, I'm not going to go through every list. There's quite a lot of characters I dislike, as you can see. But really, if this was a roster in the newest Mortal Kombat game, damn, would I be happy. That would be so strong. I'd be ecstatic. If they pulled a few of these for DLC, sure, I wouldn't be mad. If these characters got into the roster, man, I would not be too pleased about that. And then if any of these got in the roster, holy fuck, man, I'd actually be really pissed off about that. So that's the main ranking. We're going to do a bonus run through now of the guest characters. It's hard to assess these as characters because, like, I like all of these characters. Like, I'm obsessed with, like, the Alien films. I love Terminator. I love RoboCop. I love Friday the 13th. Well, I love them all. Actually, Spawn is the only one I'm not that familiar with. I've played the game on, was it Xbox? Was it on PS2? I don't know. I only ever played it on the original Xbox. That's about the extent of this character, and I know he's voiced by the guy who does Arbiter and that guy from Mass Effect. That's about it. So let's just start. Oh, man, this is going to be tricky. I suppose, would I want to see these characters return? Yes, I'd want to see Freddy return. Yes, I'd want to see Jason return. Yes, I think... Oh man, that's a ballsy claim, putting Alien in fucking S tier, but fuck it, we're going S tier. S tier. Arnie, Robocop, they're mid. I feel the horror characters fit better than these, but these two characters are closer than, say, fucking Rambo or Joker. I'd want these two to return because we want the face-off between Jason and Freddy, man. Predator and Alien being in the same game was insane. I loved these two characters. These are some of the best guest characters they've ever had, these two. I am biased. I am biased because I love the franchises that these characters are from. Alien more so than Predator. Predator doesn't really have strong film. I mean, nor does Alien really nowadays, but Predator is such a cool design and he fits so perfectly into this game. He's got a little bit of Cyrix with the net, which is obviously what Cyrix was inspired from. To see it come full circle like that and still have these characters be so unique is awesome. Like, how do they do that, man? They make these two characters so unique when this character, and Sector obviously, is inspired by this character. Leatherface, I don't want to see him again, really. When we had Jason in the game, Leatherface, sure, I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, absolutely, but I just felt he was a wasted slot when we had Jason already. Honestly, Spawn, not familiar, didn't hate him, thought he fit quite well. I don't really love comic book characters coming into this, so Joker instantly goes there, Kratos goes there, Rambo goes there. Sorry, I blew through those last few because really, I just know I'm so against having mascot characters from other platforms be gatekeeped onto specific consoles. Like, even though I've got Mortal Kombat 9 now on PC, it still feels slightly incomplete because we're essentially missing a whole character in a stage, and that stage had one of the most unique stage fatalities that's ever been in a Mortal Kombat game. And we can't have that content now because it is a Sony product. Kratos was so fucking broken as well. He was an absolutely fucking disgusting character. If you did some of his combos efficiently, his air combos, you'd be looking at half your health gone. Man, he was fucking broken. There was also a way, so because I played a lot of MK9 online tag with a friend, and we found a glitch where you could both select Kratos, and it was carnage. It was unbeatable. These mascot characters from other platforms do not fit Mortal Kombat. Even though Kratos is a pretty good fix, he's from a violent franchise, do not bring him back. He's never going to come back anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. He fits comfortably here. Never bring him back. Rambo, he to me is just like, why is this resurgence of Rambo in media? We've had Rambo in Far Cry, Call of Duty, Mortal Kombat. I'm sure there's some others that I can't. But he had his own game. So I'm trying to fuck whatever. Rambo can fuck right off. Arnie, Robocop. They're a good fit, but again, the horror film characters are where it's at for Mortal Kombat. That's pretty much all that can be said. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this ranking. It went on a lot longer than I expected. But yeah, that's my tier list for Mortal Kombat characters.